Welcome to This Team is Killing Us, a podcast about what the Carolina Panthers do to good people. I'm Demetri and She is Lauren Brownlow. And Lauren, what is killing me today is Dave Canales. So handsome.
How dare you?
I know. Bear with me. Bear with me. So handsome. So new to the job. And according to everybody in the NFL, so important to the not only success of this football team, but whether or not these people even know how to play American tackle football, apparently.
I mean, to be fair, there were times last year where we wondered.
Nope, that's fair. That's fair. I looked at 3 different season-long projections over the weekend, and every single one of them started with some variation of the line that this team will be defined by the success of Dave Canales' offense.
Yeah, and you know what? It must be nice for BryceYoung a little bit to because before I feel like the narrative was all like, it'll be all on Bryce. And it's like, oh, what? Like, seems a little unrealistic considering everything else on this roster. But now it's like, it's all on Dave Canales instead of like FrankReich, but it was never going to be on FrankReich, right? And now it's like the pressure is instead on Canales, which is not the worst thing.
It's not, but it's also interesting, right? Because with Reich, you could have sold the idea, especially coming off of Matt Rule, that this was a tested, steady NFL hand. It should be. It should have been on FrankReich. This is a guy that has called plays in the NFL for a year, and he does have a great track record of getting a lot out of quarterbacks that, you know, either we have given up on being stars in Baker Mayfield, or they are clearly on the decline in Russell Wilson. He definitely has a track record of success there, but we don't really know much about him in terms of leading a team. That is what kind of gives me pause of how much importance we are placing on him for the future of this franchise.
I think it's almost like, and I hate, this is going to sound bad.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with it. Whatever. Okay. It's the safe space. I think sometimes when when a guy is as handsome,
sure.
I'm not saying this to be funny. I'm saying it legitimately. When a guy is like as charismatic and good looking as he is, he's immediately kind of slotted into like he's got like main character.
Oh, absolutely.
From the outsiders anyway, from their perception. I'm not saying he has that about himself, although if I were that good looking, I would. I'd be the main character in every story. You know what I mean? But it's like I think it's like they automatically want to assign him some more important. It's like hot bias.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
So what questions do you have about his preparedness, his God, I hate to use this word because it's almost like I'm saying this because you use the term hot bias, but about his competency. Because again, he's only even called plays
people
for
never
a year.
Usually have to be competent. But to be fair, the NFL is one of the rare sort of equal opportunity leagues in that regard, is it not? Like, yeah, you can get more endorsement deals and maybe more media respect or whatever else if you're better looking, but you're not going to get rewarded for your job performance unless you're actually good at it. Yeah. There are some very hideous head coaches.
I mean, and also you're going to get opportunities even if you have proven you are not worthy of them if you are good looking enough. Hello, Cliff Kingsbury.
Well, yeah, although he's not anymore.
That's true.
Whatever. Sorry. Look, none of us age great.
No,
Cliff. So I'm not, no shade, but
that's fair.
He aged poorly very quickly, weirdly. But
I also think part of the reason that we have these outsized, I don't know if expectations are the right word for it, but outsized, we put outsized. I
mean, the bar's in hell.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Okay, so not only is the bar in hell, but also, look, the Panthers have done what a lot of programs, both in college and in the pros, do, which is they went with the polar opposite of the guy they just fired, right?
Totally.
And I think there is a certain stench on DaveTepper in the front office, and granted, it is deserved, but think about the history of retreads of head coaches in the NFL.
That's my thing. That's why I like to hire and found it refreshing.
I do
overall.
I do too. But look at Doug Peterson gets fired from Philadelphia, has success in Jacksonville. Andy Reid gets fired from Philadelphia, has success in Kansas City. For the most part, retreads do not struggle to connect with a locker room, to even connect with what their talent is the way FrankReich did.
Well, fair, although kind of. Everybody hits an expiration. That's the other part.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the extreme disconnect between Frank and the team, I think a lot of people are assigning to just the Panthers culture in general, and I don't think that's unfair.
Right, totally agree.
But I do think it is a mountain that maybe Canales should not be forced to prove he has to overcome, or he should not be assumed that he can overcome it just because
I think, so, like I said,
he's untouched, so to speak.
Oh, he's still pure.
Yeah, a sweet virgin soul.
Well,
as I say, he's admitted he's very much not.
Okay. Next. I mean, I think, like I said, the bars in hell. So I think that's for sure a part of it. I mean, do I have questions? Sure. But my questions are almost more like related to the Panthers in general and the trauma that is, the sports trauma that is done to my poor soul.
Yeah.
In other words, like every time I think someone's going to work, like someone could really work out and I have some good feelings, the Panthers will, take them and like Tommy Boy's like Pretty Little Pet, just destroy them. So I don't want to I'm not going to put too much.
Yeah.
I don't know I don't do optimism anyway anymore, but I'm not going to put too much on him, but also like the bar isn't hell, but it's still a bar for me that like, I just want to see a team that like looks like they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And looks like they're, not like being forced to do something extremely unpleasant on Sundays instead.
I sent you that graph in our text exchange of the percentage of catchable passes thrown to Panthers receivers by BryceYoung versus the percentage they actually caught. And you have a guy like Jonathan Mingo that missed 30% of the catchable passes thrown to it.
That's what I'm used to from Panthers receivers. I get excited about.
Even, by the way, Adam Thielen was not perfect. He was much better than anybody else, but he was not perfect.
Yeah. I'll defend him because Lord knows he made a lot of catches that they were called hospital passes for a reason at times, or on balls that you're like, oh, he might die.
Yeah.
So
all right. So is this a in Dave we trust or a with Dave we're stuck situation?
I mean, it's got to be a little both, right?
Yeah.
Like they are stuck with him, but like I think you have to, at least for now, go into it. I think if you're like a player or an outsider or a fan or whatever, and just go, well, how much worse could it get, really? Of course, if you're a fan, you go, oh, God, because they'll find a way.
Okay, so are you as a fan, and you don't even have to ask me in return because you know where I am on this one. Are you in Bryce we trust or with Bryce we're stuck?
I'm probably... I'm a little of both on him as well.
Okay.
I would say I lean more towards B at the moment.
Okay.
I'm perfectly willing and even eager to be proven incorrect, which is not a thing I say very often, but I mean it.
Okay. I bring that up because ESPN has released their FPI projections for the season that not only includes who will make the playoffs, win the Super Bowl, etc.
Oh, great.
But also who will be picking number one overall. Yes, their bracketology. By the way, FPI, patent pending. I only found that out this week. They give the Panthers a 21% chance of picking number one, which is just below.
Oh, I thought you were going to say making the playoffs. I was like, a little high, but I guess in that division, you never know.
No, they are the only team that has a 0% chance of winning the Super Bowl, according to the FPI.
Oh.
Which feels accurate. I mean, let's be fair.
I mean, to be fair, probably. There's a chance of anything happening before, like literally everyone has at least a chance before the season begins mathematically. So I don't know where that comes from.
I mean, I hear you, but I don't believe you.
Well, of course, I don't believe it either. That's not the point. Like, I'm just saying weirder things have happened.
All right, FBI says 21% chance for the Panthers to pick number one. That is just below the Patriots at 22% chance that they are picking number one. If the Panthers do end up with the number one pick again, is Bryce done as your starting quarterback?
I think it just depends, honestly.
Yeah.
I think it depends. Like, I know that seems like a cop-out, but I think people just want to see him play well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know CJ Stroud took them to the playoffs and everything, but like, even if they had missed the playoffs, do you think anybody would be feeling like, oh, well, that's not their quarterback? No, because of the way he played. right? So I think like it sort of depends, but obviously like a lot of things have to go horrifically wrong. I certainly think at least one of them is going to be a victim of it at some point. You know what I mean? Either Canales or Bryce.
Oh, sure.
If they pick number one again.
I mean, look, if they are picking
or if they don't pick number one again, excuse me.
Right.
Excuse me, sorry.
If they are picking number one, again.
If the Bears pick number one again.
I guess you I guess you have to do the gosh. Bear with me, everybody. Put yourself in DaveTepper's shoes. Do you cut bait?
Now I'm like, what shoe does he wear? A croc?
You think a croc? I could believe Crocs. I could also believe boat shoes.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I was thinking definitely no socks. Gross.
No. Why?
And he takes his shoes off at the office, 100%.
I don't know about the office, but I bet he does in the box at the games.
Oh yeah. And then puts his feet up on the seat in front of him, and everybody's like, gross. Yeah, 100% that happened.
And he refers to himself as Big Dave, and he refers to
I thought you were going to say Big Daddy.
Why not? Maybe Big Daddy. And he refers to the seat in front of his as Big Daddy's for Big Daddy's dogs, which is what he calls his feet.
Oh, God.
All right. So put yourself in the boat shoes of DaveTepper for a moment. Which hurts the ego more? Cutting bait on your son as the starting quarterback, or again firing your coach?
No, it's Bryce.
Really?
I think so. But partially because he just like rode so hard for him.
Sure.
You know, and was like, we just had good vibes and we know that this is the guy and da-da-da-da. And it was like, and the other guy's performing so well. So it's like, yet again, and every quarterback decision he has made has been wrong.
Right.
Except for bringing Cam back in. And that was, by the way, like that almost took him being like forced into it.
I would argue that was not wrong, but it was not right either.
It's not a long-term move, but it wasn't supposed to be. Sure. So I was kind of fine with it. But like the vitriol he had towards Teddy, who did fine. Yeah. He was fine.
Yeah.
He did not warrant all of that.
That is a matter of a guy that doesn't really understand what he got in Teddy Bridgewater.
Right. It's like it's in his name. He's a bridge. Okay. Bridge over that troubled water, buddy. Sure. But he didn't want to cross that bridge, did he?
I would argue that no matter what happens this year, Bryce will be your starting quarterback in 25 because
I think so too.
Even if you
I'm just saying like long-term consequences.
Sure. If you land the number one pick, like convince me Carson Beck or Shedeur Sanders are more NFL ready than Bryce in his 30s.
Is that who we're going with?
I mean, I have seen that.
I like Shedeur. Don't get me wrong.
I don't.
Well, I don't love him at all. Not for NFL, certainly. Yeah. Like I mean, I guess at least he would, to be fair, if the Panthers got him, he'd certainly be more than used to running for his life.
Well, not only that, he only throws checkdowns. Like he only throws checkdowns.
Right.
Or unless he's got a receiver like wide open downfield. That's not going to happen in the NFL. So good news for Miles Sanders and Jonathan Brooks, I guess. And Chuba. But yeah, I'm not a Shedeur guy. With Carson Beck, I see the pieces, but I'm not blown away by him.
Somebody will emerge, though. Somebody always does.
So that's exactly what I was going to say.
I hear you. I'm not saying that they're better, but I also feel like, okay, if nothing else, at a minimum, I think that they bring in a vet that maybe is a guy that they think has enough talent to push Bryce or play in front of him if things really go off the rails.
I think that, I would say
for year 3 of Bryce.
Yeah. And you hit it right on the head. Like you bring in a vet to do that because if you're picking number one again and you're not taking the defensive end out of Tennessee, whose first name I could never remember, Pierce, like that defense has to be rebuilt at some point, right?
That's the thing too. Like they have to start paying some attention to the defense. So when you asked me about Bryce and you were like, say pick number one again. And I was thinking like, well, I mean, what if the defense is a disaster out of nowhere? It's happened before. I'm not saying like the defense is fixed right now, but it obviously was one of the stronger points last year. And so
look at everybody you moved on from.
Right.
That's such a big deal. And the other thing too is like, look, you heard it a lot during this draft, especially when the Falcons made the pick that they did. There is no quarterback in this next draft. If you have the number one pick and you are taking Carson Beck or Shedeur Sanders, you have failed.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, I have a hard time believing that that's going to be what we settle on, but we'll see.
I have a hard time believing, and maybe you disagree with me, I have a hard time believing this team is going to be picking number 1 again.
Yeah, I do too.
I think that the Patriots and the Broncos are so much worse.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say the Patriots to me are like, I mean, look, and this has nothing, not saying anything about Drake May. It's just everything else.
Well, look, Drake May could be walking into a similar situation of just playing with a roster that is not ready. Yeah.
Sandwich. Like, it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah, I agree. And if those guys are picking number 1, I think everybody is going to praise the opportunity to build around Drake May. I understand it's very different picking number 1 after, your quarterback's rookie season as opposed to picking number 1 after your quarterback's rookie season, but not having the pick and then having to pick number 1 again. I understand they are 2 different situations. I just don't think the Panthers are going to be there.
Yeah,
I just don't.
I don't either. I really don't.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast. That is how more people find us. If you are watching us on YouTube, not only do you need to subscribe to the OG Triangle Media page, but also take time to leave a review. That is how more people that follow NFL and Carolina Panthers content see this team is killing us. Also do the same thing wherever it is you get your podcasts. And Lauren, tickets for the Sports Podcast Festival are on sale right now.
Yes, please buy them. We'll be there.
We will be there. We will be on stage there. I've talked to Hayes down at the Rialto. We are already more than halfway sold out. So please get your tickets now. $59 for 3 shows. Ovius and Giglio, Hand in the Dirt, and our headliners, the Shutdown Full Cast. Lauren and I will be on and off the stage all night long as well. So please make plans to join us at the Rialto on August 24th. You can get your tickets at eTix or follow at SportsPodFest on either Twitter or Instagram. Lauren Brownlow, the aforementioned Cam Newton could be a part owner of this team, at least in his imagination.
Yeah. That's a place I would love to travel to.
Absolutely.
God, would I ever. I need to know what goes on in there.
Do you know, did you ever watch The Simpsons? Or were you a Simpsons person?
I wasn't allowed, although my son is now watching it some. Okay. And so I have enjoyed what I've been able to see.
Have you seen the one where the Germans buy the nuclear power plant and they describe to Homer, they describe Germany as the land of chocolate? Oh. And he imagines a world where everything is built of chocolate. Right. And there is a pig in a tuxedo with a monocle that calls him old boy. And then Homer bites his stomach. And the pig says, good show. That is a little bit of what I think happens in Cam Newton's head. Not all chocolate, but it is that fantastical of a world where everything goes Cam Newton's
there's way. Just a lot of stuff mixed in together.
Everything has a foxtail.
His outfits, Yeah. A lot of different aesthetics going on. I just would love to jump around in there. But yeah, I did. So, I know he's made a lot of money in his career. So I'm sure it seems like he still has plenty of it, which is great. But I don't know how much that is. And what's he doing now to make more money that he would think that was something. Also, there's no way in absolute hell that DaveTepper allows that to happen. So, right? I
agree with you. I don't think it has anything necessarily to do with Cam. I don't think DaveTepper is allowing anybody to own any piece of his baby.
Well, I don't necessarily think it has to do with Cam.
Yeah.
But I think at least in part it does. Right?
Because Cam is more popular in Charlotte than he is?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Because everybody would be like, there's the owner we like.
that is very true.
Get out of our face, They'd want Cam to be the guy on the field, doing all the actual.
Yeah.
And DaveTepper would just be there seething.
Could you imagine if the NFL had a lottery, how DaveTepper would show up every year?
Oh, my God.
So Cam Newton did not bring this up on his own. He was asked about it on his podcast, which, you could assume he was told. He told someone, hey, ask me about owning the Panthers.
Maybe, although I'm sure people would have. I mean, if you've got hangers on in your circle, they're going to ask you things like that.
Okay, so here's what he said. Quote, I can't say no because I don't know what it would look like. I don't know if flying back and forth to Charlotte would be something reasonable, but it is just a 45-minute flight. I don't think there has ever been a player that can be relatable to both sides in Carolina. It is.
That's a loaded statement, by the way. If you know Cam's history in Charlotte at all, that is a Because he's not wrong.
So lay that out for people.
Well, look, Cam was always one of those guys that, while obviously like there were a lot of things that made him seem like a rebel and like a, like he celebrated, he didn't care. He was just always unapologetically himself, sort of. But he was always also in good with whoever the owner was.
Right.
Always. And a lot of time, that's the only thing that I ever really saw him take criticism of over the years, was the fact that he didn't seem to want to do anything to like rock the boat with management or even his coaches. Like, it wasn't just management. Like, it wasn't just ownership or management. It's also the coaches. Like, you never heard him say any crossword about anyone in charge.
I always thought there was this interesting dynamic.
He and Jerry had a great relationship.
Right. And so this is kind of what I'm getting at. I always thought it was an interesting dynamic that people from the outside would look at Cam. And by from the outside, I mean people that only kind of got to know him as an NFL player, probably not even until his MVP season, got to know a little bit about his personality. Yes, he is black, loud, and proud, but he is also a preacher's kid, right?
Yes,
and
100%.
there is a real like demure to authority streak in him.
And afraid to offend, because I know like when there were some police incidents with the Black community, some very unpleasant ones in Charlotte, that was the first time I ever really saw people get kind of pissed at him, like in a legitimate way. I mean
look, think about the way
that he didn't speak up about it as soon as he could have.
Think about the way he talked to Jordan Rodriguez from The Athletic at the time in that press conference. I'm just, the only reason I bring that up is because there is a very real, in his mind, there's a very real pecking order, and he doesn't believe he is at the top. But if he is over you, he believes he is over you.
Yeah, I think there's definitely truth to that for sure. But and that was, to me, that's one of the worst things he's done. But I was very pissed. Okay,
so we both agree that even if DaveTepper sold to him a piece of the Panthers the size of what was the Nets owner's name, Prokhorov, that sold a piece to Jay-Z. And Jay-Z's ownership piece basically amounted to courtside season tickets. Like, it was that small. But Jay-Z was a very effective face of that franchise.
Well, and I was going to say, like, that's the one, like, if Tepper, and who knows, like, eventually Tepper could just go, you know what? Everyone hates my guys.
Yeah.
Like, and he did, I don't think he wanted to bring Cam back in necessarily that one year he did to play, but he did. And I think part of the reason he did that was to get back some goodwill from the fans.
Do you think that he would even give Cam the power of just being on the billboards?
Real power, no.
Okay. Do you think he would send Cam out to answer? Like, would Cam be the one doing the interviews on NFL Network?
Oh, boy.
Maybe NFL Network is the wrong one, because the NFL Network's never going to make an owner look bad. But would they send him
but that doesn't mean that. Okay.
Yeah. But would they send him to, like, say, ESPN or to Fox? Fox seems to be the one that the NFL acts like they have no power over.
Maybe. It's just, look, while I loved Cam in interviews, it wasn't always for serious reasons.
Agreed.
So would Cam do it? 100%. And like, would Tepper do it? Yeah, but in a way it might make him look worse if he's just sending him out to, and when he doesn't have any real power, you know what I mean? So I don't know, but could he be helpful just to like have around and to like go do those things in the pregame so that Tepper doesn't get his ass booed off the field? I think that would be the biggest thing of like, hey, I'm throwing y'all a bone by him. I don't hate you.
Okay. I want you to set your love of Cam aside.
It's not.
Listen,
the Cam the player. Yeah.
Lauren, by the way,
Cam the player is different than Cam the person.
Sure.
Cam the person I find interesting and multifaceted and whatever, but have I ever fully gotten past what he did to Jordan as a fellow female reporter?
Yeah.
No.
One of the benchmarks, is that the right word?
Maybe.
One of the benchmarks of our personal relationship was when you made me admit to you that I'd come around to actually liking Cam.
I mean, I could tell based on the way you were talking about him.
Yeah.
Like, he's he's charismatic as hell. Like,
agreed. And so that's why I would say I have to put my feelings for Cam aside, because especially at a time when we were having to cover Cam in relation to Russell Wilson, I could not tell you how much I appreciated Cam just always being who he is.
Yes.
That being said, let's let the cat out of the hat and ask, would
Didn't he say that?
He did. Yeah, that's why I said it.
I was trying to remember for sure. I was like, that sounds like a camp. And it was, yes. Put him on a pinnacle.
Could he be?
It's one of my favorites.
I couldn't remember if it was pinnacle or pinium. That's why I went with the cat of that.
Oh yeah.
Would he be helpful and relatable to the player side the way he thinks he would?
That's where I'm a little less sure.
Yeah.
If only because, like,
I think he'd be great for Bryce. I don't know that he would be like this overall presence that the locker room would embrace. I love on his podcast when he talks so bluntly about, this is what Bryce Young has to do to be an NFL quarterback. Mm-hmm. This is what he has to let go of. This is what he has to.
He's kind but honest. Like, and I appreciate that too. He's honest about a lot of people. It's gotten him in trouble.
Agreed. Like when he talks about, Bomani Jones one time put this in a way that I really understood what it was he was talking about when Cam made the comments about who was a game changer versus a game manager. Mm-hmm. And Cam was literally a game changer. You can be an elite quarterback 100%. And be a game manager in the sense that the defense is not going to be different the next week when you're not playing them. Does that make sense?
100%.
Like if the teams that would come in and play Cam and the Panthers had a defense for Cam.
Yes.
And the next week was just gone.
Like Brock Purdy, manager.
Yes.
And not like a really good one.
Right.
Like one of the better ones you can have.
Absolutely.
That doesn't mean he can't make you a play here and there, but that's not what his strength. Everybody has different strengths and weaknesses. I don't know why we have to act like every single quarterback is
agreed. Listen, Drew Brees, game manager.
Yeah.
A great one. But a game manager.
Probably the best ever, to be honest.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. There are, we've made game manager a pejorative, but it should not be. Because you know who is failing to quarterback? The guy not managing the game.
Here's the thing. It's because, I think we love a guy that will take chances.
Yeah.
We love to see it because it's exciting.
Yeah.
So in a way, I think that's part of it is but of course we love it until it's the dude who just throws it right to the other team.
I think it was Mike Holmgren that had a better term than game manager for quarterbacks that he called JDLs. And it was, I'm not going to ask you to win the game, just don't lose.
Right.
Yes. That's what I think people now think of when we say game manager. That's not accurate.
Some coaches, by the way, and you see this especially at the college level, but and you're seeing it more now in the NFL level, I think, as defenses have improved or caught up or whatever, is you see a lot of defensive minded coaches, especially coaching to not turn the football over. That's such a huge point of emphasis. And so they won't take as many chances as you'll see maybe other coaches take. Because and what do? We buck against that. Do we not? Yeah. Kirk, I'm not defending Kirk Ferentz in this. That's not what I'm doing. That's basically just like running into the line 3 times and sadly punt it away.
Right.
That's not helping your defense either. That's not good.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, some coaches would rather play that way and some people are more comfortable that way. But we, the fans, at the end of the day, we don't want to see that.
No, 100%.
It's boring.
I think that element of Cam's personality.
Although Drew Brees wasn't boring.
No, he wasn't boring. He was, like I said, very good, but he played the game as the manager.
That was just the style
of a game manager.
Correct. Yeah.
I think that Cam actually being formally associated with the Panthers would make it impossible for Bryce or anybody else to do the personality things he harps on them needing to do.
That's true. He would. I mean, there are a handful of quarterbacks I've ever been around in person that I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
And he's definitely one of them. Top of the list.
You mean in terms of the personality blows you away?
Yeah. And just the presence too. As soon as they walk in a room, you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
You're just drawn to him. It's like a magnet. It's just, he has that kind of charisma that's otherworldly almost.
Yeah.
It's hard. That just sucks all the air right out of the room. Even if you're a great guy that has a perfectly winning personality, you're not going to shine in a room with Cam Newton.
That's very
especially
true.
If he's wearing one of his hats.
I have seen Cam Newton in a room with Will Smith, and guess which one everyone was going to.
I do not doubt it was Cam.
Let's go from one former Panthers quarterback to another. Did you know Josh McCown is now the Minnesota Vikings quarterback coach?
Josh McCown. Oh, God. I'm glad to be. You know how I felt about him.
Oh, yeah.
It's for me sometimes, and this is maybe unfair, it is hard because I'm like, wait, I watched you play.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's no way you don't coach at least a little bit like you played. And I don't want that energy anywhere near my quarterback.
You know what's interesting is I was thinking about him when I read this article because the Athletic, Josh McCown did not go out of his way to compare Bryce Young's first season to him working with JJ McCarthy. He was asked directly about this.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking about this from the standpoint of...
Oh, no, JJ. I'm just kidding.
I don't quite see... I could see how Josh McCown would be a good quarterback coach from the standpoint of the mechanics, the release,
for sure,
how you do the X and O of the position. I do have trouble seeing... whatever it is that lunatic that owned the Texans saw in, let's take him off the field and put him in the head coaching role right now, aside from handsome white and in love with Jesus.
Yeah, and a douchey haircut.
Oh, that's part of the handsome white.
I couldn't. Every time I saw him on the sideline, I'm like, you're just like a villain from an 80s movie. I cannot stand you.
Yeah.
And I feel bad. I'm like, he didn't do anything to me. He might be a lovely person.
He probably does not have a go-to barber. He probably goes to whatever barbershop or salon is nearest and just sits in the chair and says, give me the haircut.
he goes to a barber that's populated by teens.
Yeah.
For sure.
He sits on a Dr. Seuss character.
or just whatever. Like it's teenagers. It's teenage boys up in there getting the same haircut. Give me the McCown.
Do we think he goes to like Sport Clips?
No.
And he raves about, they do the hot towel massage?
He probably goes somewhere, some trendy place in like Noda.
You think so?
100%. And then tells people about it.
Oh, okay.
That's what I think.
So
you put too much work and effort into looking like that with your hair and to like not I feel like.
Man, I don't think so. Like I said, I think he just tells people, I would like a haircut, please. And that is what is generally viewed as a haircut for that face.
I think he brought in a picture.
All right.
There's no way he didn't bring in a picture for that particular haircut.
So I told you that he did not go out of his way to compare Bryce's first season to working with JJ McCarthy. However, the interviewer from The Athletic asked him what he learned from working with Bryce Young. And the first sentence out of his mouth of what he learned is, there's still a learning curve to this league.
Yeah, bro.
Oh, boy. He says there's still a learning curve to this league, so it's important to give yourself space to understand and not put pressure or a level of expectations on them that are sometimes unattainable in year one.
Can I be a quarterback's coach?
I don't think his statement is unfair, but
it's also
that's what he had to learn.
It's right. That's kind of like, yeah, no shit. And right, like you learned that,
right? He went on to say that JJ McCarthy has, in practice looked just like he did in his pro day, blah, blah, blah. Everything you expect a quarterback's coach to say about his rookie quarterback when he has not faced competition yet. He said the same stuff about Bryce last year, which is fine.
Yeah,
Bryce probably did look like he did in his pro day.
To be fair to McCown, like no one is going to go and be like, ugh, it's not going well.
Yeah.
Oh, he's looking a little rough, guys. I don't know, man. And like, it seems like he didn't like throw him under the bus or anything, which is, it's good to see because some coaches are absolutely that way, even if it's passive aggressively. So.
And it's also, look, I think being the backup or spot starter quarterback for as long as Josh McCown's career was, you get a lot of experience.
You know how happy I'd get when he came in for other teams?
Oh, sure.
I'd be like, yes.
Sure. Back in my days of rooting for the Buccaneers, do you realize the plan was for him to be the starter for a whole season?
I would be so happy. I'd be like, yes, God, yeah, we're going to pick here. Let's do this. He was good for like at least one pick six a year. I feel like at least.
Oh, at least a year?
Maybe a game.
I was about to say at least like every quarter of the season.
We got one every time. Yeah. We played against him. I was so happy. I'd be like, God, yeah.
So having that kind of playing career, he had a lot of experience watching and learning to say nothing in interviews, which is this could be. This could be like, I got to think of something off the top of my head.
Oh, let me give some platitude or whatever.
It really is a good snapshot of just how ill-prepared and unbalanced, but there was nothing about the offensive staff last year.
Yeah.
That was like, okay, I see how these pieces coalesce.
I mean, if he were being honest, what do you like? Just like kind of not fan fiction, but like a little bit. Like if we had to guess,
like
I was like, what would he have said? Like
what would he said about what did you learn from year one with BryceYoung?
Like that. Yeah. Like maybe I don't know
that. No matter what your quarterback does, if your left tackle forgets how to do his job, it does not matter.
That's one for sure.
That's one. Or
also, like,
it does not matter how good your quarterback is at throwing the ball. If you have receivers that cannot catch, it does not matter. And I don't mean to put it all on everybody else, but the numbers show that was Bryce's biggest problem.
I was going to say the biggest takeaway if he were like doing truth serum would probably be like, I learned that a play caller that came in with a great reputation will absolutely just vote it in.
Yeah.
If they don't really love the quarterback. Which I didn't think a professional would do.
Yeah.
But here we are.
I learned that. Yeah.
I didn't think that would happen, and yet
I learned that there are places you can go to buy brass sets of testicles to put on your office desk.
I learned that rich guys often have little to no self-awareness. Well, he probably already knew that they have little to no self-awareness, or rich guys can't accept the fact that they can't buy people's love.
Right. I learned that the good people of Jacksonville, Florida don't take kindly to having ice thrown at them.
Which, by the way, to be fair, if I were in Florida at any point, I'd be like, please throw more ice at me. Throw a drink on me. I don't care.
There's a reason they sell little electronics that do that before you go into Disney World.
Yeah.